Hi, I'm your host Satwant, and welcome to this episode of The Payments Show. If you'd prefer to listen to this episode on your podcast app, simply visit thepayments.show in your web browser, and you'll get a list of all the episodes and links to Apple and Spotify. If you would like a PDF transcript of the episode, please visit thepaymentsshow.substack.com, where you'll be able to download it. Thanks, and enjoy the episode. Donat, welcome to The Payments Show.
Hello. Nice to meet you, Satwant.
And you, where are you joining from in the world?
I'm from Tallinn, Estonia.
Excellent stuff. It's one of the places I haven't been to in Europe. Give us an interesting fact about what's happening down there in the tech scene.
We are very good in IT, so everything is in IT actually. If you want to order something, if you want to vote, if you want to register your business, you can do everything from your computer or phone. So a good country for IT companies.
Living in the future already.
Yeah.
I like it. Good stuff. Well, I'm going to kick off and give you an introduction. So, Donat, you're the Chief Product Officer at XData Group. And the XData Group is a B2B software development company that offers technology solutions pretty much exclusively for banks mainly, including UX and UI design, product prototyping, minimum viable product creation, and I'm sure a lot more. Is that an accurate description of your company?
Mostly, yeah. We're working not only with banks, but also with different kind of payment systems. And so we are creating all in-house, meaning that we are starting from scratch with our clients, understanding what they value, what they need, and creating from zero all the products. So as you said, UI, UX, prototyping, MVP, backend development, architecture, security stuff, and lots of other things. DevOps also is our side.
Excellent. Well, one of the reasons I've been looking forward to this one is because from a personal perspective alone, UX and UI is just so important, and so many companies and businesses get it wrong. And one of the big ones is, as I'm sure you're aware, the cart abandonment statistics, and it's 70% plus of shopping carts are abandoned on mobile because of things like the requirement to create an account before buying or complicated checkout processes. And that's just one example of how bad UX and UI can just incinerate a company's potential revenues. So I don't know if you had any more stats or wanted to comment even on that one alone.
I'll say that I'm also up to it because UI is very important, especially in the banking sector where I have a lot of knowledge. So, for example, industry average in terms of user retention rate is 50% if you have a good UI. Because there is also lots of neobanks and the banks of the future which are currently, you can just download them from the App Store, use it as much as you want, and then some people stay, some people leave. So industry average 50%. But if you have a poorly designed banking app, then only 25 stays. Because, for example, you have some kind of nice subscription or some good business model. But I would say that nowadays in the banking, in the payment systems, and everywhere actually, UI is very important. Because if you cannot catch the eye of your customer, then with the high probability some competitor will do that and you will lose your client.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you mentioned it's not just banking products that you offer or design, it's payment systems as well. What are some examples of some of the work you do or are doing right now?
We're currently working on one UK payment system. We are mostly making a back end to the front end, and currently they have their own core system, which is actually like ledger book. So, but some future we are also gonna cover this core system because it's under the development right now in our company. And you should also understand that all the clients which are coming to us, they mostly have already some kind of solution, but mostly this is old solution or it was badly designed. So what we are doing, we are analyzing what they have currently and we are trying to optimize it or rebuild or build a new solution which will have better design, which will have better user experience, because you're going to have a good user interface. You can have nice buttons, you can have, nice graphs, But if you have a bad user experience at the same time, then it will also not work. So UI and UX nowadays are two things which are very important if you're working with the clients, especially with the private clients, not only like with the business. And also we're working with two banks, one of them in the Central Europe and another in the Middle East.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
In terms of the sales conversion side of things, a lot of retailers can quite easily move over to something like Shopify, and they spend millions or tens of millions on UI, UX research and making sure that everything works smoothly for their users. Would you say it's accurate to say that if the bulk of SMEs simply move to a Shopify type of platform, that they don't really need a lot of custom work such as what your company does? Or would that be inaccurate? Because my personal theory is that a lot of businesses are actually not too different from each other. And so a more generalized platform such as Shopify would be adequate. What do you think?
I'll say that you're correct in some points, because, for example, if we're speaking about the same banking or the payment system, you can have one good solution which can be used by different banks in, let's say, different regions, if we're speaking about the Europe. Of course, if we're speaking about the Asian market or even the US market, these solutions should be adapted to the market specifics. But at the same time, what we are doing, we're building our own software as a service solution. So that's exactly what you're speaking about, because I would say in such a way, when you are building a solution which have different kind of modules, as we are doing that, you can decide by yourself, being a business, what do you want to have in your bank. If you have, for example, business in the card sector, then you need a cards module and let's say like some amount like of payments. But if you're a retail bank which is earning their money on loans, or some leasings, then you need another module. And if we're speaking about the case which you provided about the shops, I would say that that is correct, that the majority of shops, especially like medium ones and small ones, they do not need to build their own specific solution from my point of view nowadays. But at the same time, if you're already big, if you want to have some specific shop, if you want to have your specific discount programs, if you want to have your own campaigns and so on, then with a high probability you will need to have your own system, especially if you have like hundreds of shops all over the world, and you need to list all the things which you have in different kind of shops, because the majority of such kind of, let's say, SaaS solutions in terms of shops, they are not so good nowadays for big retailers. So I would say that all depends on your size.
Yeah, agreed. One area that I've always found Shopify to be lacking when I used it, last several years ago, is the upsell capability. So it's easy to sell something extra when somebody's already to buy something. And I just found that it was okay. It might recommend things sort of next to it in the catalog or something basic like that, but not much intelligence built into it, because the other extreme would be something like the Amazon recommendation engine, which is amazing. It seems that, I mean, unless they've done something in the last few years that I've missed, I found the recommendations to be pretty lacking, and the upsell capabilities in general of platforms like Shopify. So not picking on Shopify specifically, because I think it's a great platform. It's just one area that, again, when it comes to conversions, I think that a lot of the platforms are lacking. What do you think?
I would say that that's the biggest problem of all big solutions. So when you have, for example, I don't know, like 10 clients, 10 businesses who wants to use your, let's say, shopping solution, then everything's fine. They're contacting you, asking some questions, asking some requests to develop. You are doing that, and then your solution are, let's say, used worldwide, and these shops, they have like all what they need. But for example, if you have already thousands or like hundreds of thousands clients, then it's kind of hard to understand where to go, which models to develop, what is good and what is bad. Of course, they have different kind of like product teams, but I would want to say that when you're a big company providing different kind of module solution, and then you should still have some kind of approach to work personally with different companies, even with the medium ones, at least to have some kind of key manager who is asking for some questions like, do you like this solution, what do you need, and so on. Then the development team will be able to develop such kind of solutions, because the main problem of all these platforms is that at one point of view they have lots of clients, they have lots of monies, they have a big amount of developers, but it's very hard to decide what to develop. And that's exactly what you're speaking about, because you see that in Amazon suggestions are working like nicely. Why they cannot do the same? But they are not doing that. Because of that, they have competitors.
Yeah, I've actually found personally the Amazon recommendation engine, I mean, for books is still good for me, it's brilliant. But for other product categories, I found it, if anything, it's got a bit worse. I don't know whether you found that.
Actually, I also like how Amazon is working with recommendations. But here is another corner. For example, Amazon in Europe and Amazon in the US is working differently. Me personally, I have used both, and I like more Amazon US because it's better in terms of user experience and it's better in terms of search engine. I don't know how it's working on their side, but in the European side, Amazon, it seems like it's a bit outdated, even in terms of the user experience. But I hope that they will update it also. But I understand why they have this problem, because even to change some location of the button when you have millions of clients, it's very harmful, and your metrics could go down. So that should be like very good decision to do that.
Yeah, agreed. I think they experiment with newer cutting edge features a lot more quickly over there, I think. Yeah, and then they wait till people like it and then they launch it elsewhere, I think.
Yeah.
I would really like to talk about the user testing and MVP stuff that you do. And then before we go on to that, just take a step back. You know, when your clients come to you, have they tried things like, is it Hotjar, where it analyzes the web page where people are looking?
There is different kind of solutions which you are speaking about. So, and that's a huge topic. Usually, if we're speaking about our clients, they are not doing such kind of testing because they have problems which are even bigger than those problems which you're speaking about. So I would say that there is different types of clients. Some of them understand that they have bad user interface and user experience and they need to do something with that. Usually they understand that when, of course, they have collected some metrics. Other clients come to us when they understand that their overall solution is outdated. And for them, we're providing, as I said already, like full scope development. So metrics are very important, I would say. There is different kind of solutions all over the world. For example, I have also used Adobe Analytics, which can be easily connected to any, let's say, solution. And you can collect any type of metrics there, like clicks on the buttons, time, how much person stayed on the page, and what is the, let's say, the road, how the people or clients find something on the page. And of course, analysts should all the time work on those metrics to understand what do their clients at all do. Because very frequently business is suffering because they do not understand what's going on. For example, we have some kind of product in scope of your bank. And for example, this product is analyzing your spendings. And you cannot understand why the people come on specific days, and on the other days you do not see that someone is checking this analysis at all. And you start thinking that maybe something is wrong with the app, maybe something is developed not so well, maybe there is a bad user experience or something else. But then, according to the statistics, you see that there is a salary date when the people are receiving salary, or it's the end of the month when people are checking how much money they still have on their account. And because of that, like the highest amount of customers which you have on your product are specifically during this first week and the last week of the month. and everything is fine with your user experience and with the design. But here is another question: how to catch those people and how to make your product more valuable to them even during all the other weeks and all the other days during the month. And that is already a product question where the product manager with their teams should decide what is the next step for this product.
Sure. Let's move on to how you engage with a customer, because you've got so many parts of the stack that you offer. So web and app development, custom software solutions, prototyping, software architecture. You really offer the whole stack. So I mean, we can talk about those things for an hour each, but I'd really like for you to talk to listeners who are looking at maybe doing something from scratch or migrating perhaps, what that process looks like and what the ideal customer would be to work with you guys.
Okay, so from my experience and my point of view, there are some hard steps and some easy steps. The hard step is to come to us because you should understand the problem and you should understand that you need to solve this problem. And when you're coming to us, then we'll already start doing some analytics on your product and overall on your system. What do you have? So as we already spoke, we're first of all doing UI UX analysis to understand what is working nicely, what is working badly, and how much it could take time for us at all, like to redesign or rebuild the solution. And at the same time, our developers, they're checking the code quality and they're checking, testing how is the backend working and all the databases and different kind of architectural stuff. Also like checking what about the security. So we're doing, before starting, a huge analysis and understanding what is the problem, what is the scope, and then we're providing different kind of, like, let's say, solutions on what we can do and what we can provide. And depending on, let's say, budget, we can already decide what is the good solution for the customer. Also, when the decision is made in terms of what we are doing, very frequently we are going to our designers whom we have in-house, and we are trying to understand what is the conception of our bank which came to us, what do they want to provide to their clients, what is the motto, and what is the style. It's all like whom to catch. Depending on that, we're building some kind of design, some kind of branding, some kind of prototype. Afterwards, we have a front-end team who is developing all of this stuff, and back-end team who is developing a back-end stuff. That takes quite a lot of time. That also depends on, do they have their own core or they want to use a new one? Because using an old one is usually more harmful, because not all the old cores are providing a possibility overall to build a new product or to increase amount of clients. Because when you increase, for example, amount of clients on 1,000 clients already, some cores can just decline it and go offline and not working because of old stack. We're also providing this information in scope of analysis because that's very important. You can build nice UI, nice user experience, nice prototype, but then you connect it to old core and everything is lagging, freezing and not working. So what's the point then? And after all of this development and architecture design, which we also do because that's very important, we're building a microservices because we are sure that such type of development is, let's say, the most efficient nowadays. Because when you're building microservices, you can understand how to extend your overall server side, how to extend your cloud, and how much you will spend for your cloud solution. Because nowadays the majority of our customers, they want to go into the cloud because according to the European regulations, it's becoming very expensive having own dedicated services in-house, because you need to have lots of backups, and you should have hot backups to quickly switch from your one dedicated server to another dedicated server. And also, if we are speaking about the security, those dedicated servers should be not inside of the one room, preferably, and even not in one address. So that's also a big question. So the majority of banks nowadays, they're trying to go into the cloud, And Amazon and AWS, they are providing such kind of solutions also, and those are approved by different kind of organizations in the Europe. Yeah. So when everything is already done in terms of the development, architecture, DevOps side, it's decided on which cloud to be. Then we're coming to the security and we are testing. Actually, we are testing on each step. First of all, we are making, after the prototype is done, we are making UX UI tests to understand in the test group how it's working. After prototype testing, it's going to the front-end testing when it's done. Afterwards, when the front and the back end are connected, we are testing overall how the solution is working. And afterwards, we have also security tests. So a whole range, I would say. And that's very important because if you're going, especially in the banking, of course, if you're just making a small shop or if you're opening, I don't know, like some small service with the lending and with a small card, that's not a big deal in terms of security. But if we are speaking about the banks and about the fines which banks can get because of bad security, so for us it's very important and we're spending lots of time on that. And when everything is done, then we're checking overall how our backups are working and how our cloud solution is working at the most end. So, and we are also providing a, let's say, support to our clients after we have already installed in the production, because even after the production, you can have some bugs and you should have like a support team who can 24/7 check and understand what's the problem and how to fix this bug. Because I would say there is no systems nowadays which are working like with a 100% without any kind of bugs like all the companies have it. Another question is like how quickly you can solve those. And what we are trying to do in the banking sphere, that we're trying to solve them very quickly. So that's, shortly speaking, that's the whole roadmap of how we're working.
Oh, fantastic. Actually, you mentioned security quite a few times and banking in Europe. Did you, I'm sure you saw over the last, I think it was a month ago, where an Australian pension provider, they had all their environment on Google Cloud. Did you read that story?
Yeah, I have heard something.
Yeah, so if somebody listening doesn't know, so there was a pension provider in Australia who had all their environment on Google Cloud. Their redundant environment was also on Google Cloud. And through a whole bunch of steps, both environments got deleted. And the only thing that saved their bacon was that all their backups were at another provider. And I'm sure the regulators demanded this, and it all worked as designed, thankfully. Otherwise, records for billions of dollars would have gone up in smoke.
I would say that that's a common activity, actually, because there is very frequently different kind of architects are speaking like, oh, which cloud should we have? Should it be Amazon or should it be Microsoft or something more? And at the most end, if we're speaking about the big companies and big banks, they usually have all types of clouds in their infrastructure. And not only Microsoft's Azure, but also like Amazon's AWS. Then you're more secure if you have different clouds. You can have backups, you can have different microservices on different clouds. So in terms of the security, it's a good point, I would say.
Yeah. Thankfully, it all worked out okay. But when I read that, I couldn't believe what I was reading, actually. But anyway, that's a separate conversation in itself. I'd be intrigued to talk about the fact that because you do so much in banking, I want to address the problem of app fatigue, where people are considering a lot more what to install on their apps. And are you seeing that banks especially are trying to integrate incentives and other things like that into their app if they're deciding to move to something new anyway? Are you finding that more and more?
You're fully correct, Satwant, about that, because we want to go, and where the overall worldwide banking is going is a ultra apps. So we can see that already on the Revolut, for example. And so what's the idea of the super apps? I'll just explain to all the people. So you can have not only your banking and payment systems inside, you can also have different kind of solutions in terms of taxes, flights, and so on. So you can integrate as much different kind of services, third-party services inside of your app, that it becomes not just a banking app, but also an application where people are going every day, checking different kind of services, not only related to the banking and payments. And I have seen this first time in the year 2015 in China, and I was shocked because during those times already, and it was like 9 years ago already, they already had a Jifubao and Weixin Qian. It's like WeChat Money and Alipay. And they have already integrated plane tickets, insurance, taxi ordering, also some kind of postal services 9 years ago. And that was, for me, I was not just shocked. I started using all of this stuff and I understood how useful is that you just need one app. You're going there, and inside of this app you have lots of different kind of microservices. And how they have done that, they have made an SDK for all small companies, and all the companies can just use this SDK, prepare a micro app inside of the big application. And afterwards, those big applications, teams were checking those micro solutions and applying or like removing those solutions to their super app. And after that, already like several years ago, I have seen this in the Revolut, how they have started adding different kind of services. Currently, it's in scope of Revolut ecosystem itself, but I'm kind of sure that in some period of time they will go with some kind of third parties also. In Europe, it's kind of hard to do that, but we're going to the PSD3 and the different kind of new standards of the open banking, which will help app developers to make such kind of like ultra app solution. So I think that in some kind of future, such kind of super apps will be able to just take a big amount of clients who will delete all the other apps.
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty ruthless over the last couple of years, especially getting rid of things I don't use. But things like travel apps, it's in the middle because I don't want to re-download 5 of them when I go somewhere next time. But for 90% of the year, they're unused. So they're a bit of a challenging one. But other stuff, yeah. Like I've got a Levi's jeans app. I mean, how often do you buy jeans? I don't know about anybody listening. For me, it's probably every 3 years or so. Otherwise, it's just there. No point of it being there, really. I'd rather have a discount in my banking app or credit card app for Levi's jeans when I need them. What else is topical? I'd say chatbots and things like that, or any other kind of user interface thing maybe you want to comment on, and whether the pros and cons of having them or not.
Oh, actually, chatbots is a very important topic, because especially if we're speaking about the banking. But I would say that we should divide all the chatbots on, let's say, 2 parts. The first part is all chatbots which were just designed in some scope of like questions. So developers just added some kind of questions and answers on those questions, and that's it. And the second part of those chatbots, and this part, it was weird though. I would say that it was working badly. The majority of questions which you had, you was not able to get an answer on those because like you're already kind of heavy user who can easily find all the needed information in the FAQ or in the information somewhere or in rules and terms and conditions. And you needed something more. You needed to contact like a real person from the bank or from the payment to understand what is the real problem of your payment. For example, if it's, I don't know, like declined or freezed or something else. But second part of those bots is exactly like a new topic, and those bots are already with some kind of AI and machine learning. So those bots, they're usually working a bit in another way already, because they have some kind of, let's say, big data sets and big databases with all the information about the bank and about the payment, and you're able to find everything there already. And I think and I hope that in the nearest future, the majority of the banks will have already such kind of bots and chatbots, which will be able to help people. Because we should understand that we have nowadays lots of banks, and we have nowadays lots of neobanks and payment system. and how we can be better. All of us can have a nice UI. Some of us can have a good UX. Some of us can have, let's say, good development, and everything is working smoothly. But what we should also have a good support. And we cannot have thousands of people sitting in support and, let's say, answering all the questions of the clients. So AI bots can help us with this. And I hope that will really help us.
Especially with the changing demographics all over Europe. It's harder and harder to get staff.
Yeah.
And you can only outsource so much.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Okay, great. I want to talk a little bit about the future. I mean, you guys are doing some really cool stuff all the way up and down the stack. What's coming in the next sort of 6 to 12 months that people should be excited about? So this may link to it. Where are your customers? Are they all over the world or certain geographies?
You want to know some of our business secrets? Actually,
just the markets where you kind of help customers.
I'm joking. So we have clients all over the world, but mostly we're working with the European region, and we want to go to Asia also, because we see that the amount of banks and the amount of users which we can obtain there is way bigger than in Europe. And we see that markets are also working differently. So currently we have a good expertise on the European market. We're getting expertise on the Asian market. And I think that in some future we're also going to the US and Canada, but that will be, or Latin America, but that will take some time. Because the main question here is not even development, because development in terms of the backend, it could be the same. The main question here is a prototyping, design, and user experience. Because, for example, design, which, for example, me and you can it's fully different of what people in Asia will like. And a lot of Western companies do not understand that and go into the Asian market with their own apps, and they do not understand why it's not working there. But the reality is that market is very different. Even which colors you should use on the Asian market, it's way another topic for discussion, and I would say that you can speak about that about hours. Because some time ago I have made some kind of research on which colors are commonly used, for example, in China for different kind of casual goods like milk. And if we're speaking about Europe, so pack of the milk can be in white and blue colors, but in China it will be in white and the green color. Why so? Because green is a grass and the cows are on the grass. So from their point of logic, it's way better to have, in terms of UI, green color. And if we're speaking, for example, about the apps and the interfaces in China specifically, then you should have a big amount of information on your one screen. It doesn't matter how nice is your button. You should have lots of text and lots of usefulness and useful information on your one screen. And that's totally different in terms of European and the US market, where you should have nice screens. You can have several screens, and you can have for example, for making payment 3 steps. Now in China, for example, you should have only 1.5 or 2 steps till you pay. So in terms of our company, we're right now mostly in the European market. We can also work with the US clients, and we're going to the Asian market, I think.
Great.
We're interested in it, yeah.
You'll probably set up a subsidiary there in Asia or whatever specific countries you're looking at, I suppose, because it's quite different. It wouldn't just be another job for the European office, would it?
I would say that can be a subsidiary, or let's see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, the color thing's really interesting. I over the years, I've read bits and pieces about how to use color in logos and things, especially, and I read several reports that have said that don't use black and red or black and yellow because they signify poisonous animals in the wild. And I think I've personally never opened a bank account in the UK with Lloyds Bank because I never liked the black horse on the green background. It sounds crazy. They may have better products that I need, but I just don't like their logo. So it does make a difference.
And you're not the only one. I mean, there is lots of people who do not see even difference between different kind of banking products because they just need a card and they need to pay. And for them, it doesn't matter where they have this bank account or card, but they are watching to this like solution in terms of the design. And design, for example, is weirdo and they do not like colors and they are not going there.
Yep.
So it's very important to have some very nice utility colors for all the people to like attract the majority of the customers. And it's not only in the specific age groups, but if we're speaking about the banking, then you should also acquire customers in the elderly group. And you cannot use there, for example, some kind of neon red color, because I think that they will not go there. But that all depends on the market. Of course, you should have some statistics analytics about the colors.
Yeah. The most famous story I remember about colors, this was years ago when eBay wanted to change the banner on their webpage from a yellow to a very light yellow. And people just went crazy. And so they and other companies took note. And so from that point on, they just changed a little bit of the shade of yellow every day till they got what they wanted anyway. But it's just not so impactful straight away, you know.
Yeah, but that's smart solution.
Yeah. That's
How
right.
to change it.
That was a long time ago. So yeah, that's very cool. Maybe you should go on a design podcast to listen to that one when you talk about color. It's a fascinating topic.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're pretty much at the end. Is there anything you wanted to get across that I've completely missed?
Oh, actually, when I started with the design and with all the topics related to the UI UX, I have seen different kind of like tools, and the majority of the designers were using, for example, Photoshop. And nowadays we are using Figma, and we are using not just Figma, but we are building a kit inside of the Figma. And I like this approach so much because you can easily make, let's say, two themes, like a usual white one and also like a black one for the like night version. And the Figma kit, which we are building, helps us to develop our product way quicker. It also helps for the front-end team because they're just taking all the things they need from this kit. And what I want to mention maybe to the people who are also from the product sphere, so if you're going to make different kind of prototypes or the design kits, then for sure I would suggest you to use Figma and not just use it for the prototyping, but try to create their specific kits for your own product. And that will help you a lot when you will start expanding and when your product team will increase in terms of like people, and you will need to have the same design and the same patterns all over your all products.
Great.
So, yeah.
Thanks for that. If people want to get in touch with you and work with you, your website is xdatagroup.io. And are there any conferences or things you're going to be exhibiting at coming up?
You can also find us on the LinkedIn, and also we started making Intel in some meetups, and I hope that in the nearest future we'll have some kind of public meetup, so if people want to come, we will be also available. And so I would say that a lot of things are coming from us. So just
keep in touch with your social media, yeah?
Yeah, keep in touch with us through the LinkedIn. Me personally, I'm not posting so much in the LinkedIn. I hope that I'll have some time in the future.
You'll never have time. You're busy designing stuff.
Yeah, but I will say that we have a lot of interesting expertise which we have gained during like last several years. And I hope that one day I'll have ability to post this expertise for people who are interested, so they can also subscribe to my LinkedIn.
Good stuff. Thank you so much, Donna.
Yeah.
I'd like to finish on a light question, as always. I'm going to ask you, what are you reading, watching, or listening to right now that you're enjoying? I can start. I'm reading a good book called Bullshit Jobs. So several people have recommended it to me, and I sort of brushed it off thinking, it's just going to be one of those humor type of books. But it is the complete opposite. It really addresses, why there's so much disillusionment in the workplace all over the world. Why there are so many jobs where people aren't really doing much. And it's pretty fascinating as to the history of how we got here. So I'd really recommend that book if anyone listening needs something new. How about yourself?
I will say that I was reading lots previously. Nowadays, in terms of books, I'm not reading so much. But from my point of view, what I can suggest, travel more. You have a possibility just travel and download different kind of apps in other countries or in other cities. And if you're in product, just see how the user experience is developing in different countries and how much it differs. And if you're a product person, you will understand what you want to integrate in your solution or how you can yourself make different kind of solutions better even in other countries. So
agreed. Actually, that reminds me, when I was in Oslo and Frankfurt in Germany, both of those cities don't allow Google Maps, public transport on Google Maps. So it's quite interesting using the transit app in Oslo and the same in Frankfurt as well. It was a bit frustrating, but you get used to it after a while.
Or for example, you can come to Venice and open a Google Maps and understand that they have some problems with the GPS there from time to time.
In Venice?
And you're not able to find the correct street because like in Venice, you don't have so much like roads, you like on the main island. So you should walk there or use a boat. So if you want to walk there and you're trying to use a GPS, it's not working all the time properly.
Sure.
And you're going to some kind of application where you can download the app of the Venice, and there you can have a better navigation.
Interesting.
So yeah, and just try to find something interesting in each city and each country where you're traveling and use it in your life.
Yeah, definitely. Good stuff. Well, thank you so much, Donna. Really appreciate you coming on. And all the best to you and your team in future. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.